This is Netra Damani, and in this video, I'll be sharing my paper titled Climate Stress and Human Mobility, a gravity model analysis of Sub-Saharan Africa's intra-regional migration dynamics. Part of our working paper series at Monk Prayogshala's Department of Economics, this paper investigates how climate change, including rising temperatures, rainfall variability, drought, and extreme weather events, shapes migration patterns within the 48 sub-Saharan African countries between 1990 and 2020. Using robust econometric modeling, the study explores how environmental stress interacts with economic, social, and political factors to influence human mobility. Sub-Saharan Africa is one of the world's most climate vulnerable regions, facing heat waves, floods, prolonged droughts, cyclones, and erratic rainfall. At the same time, the region experiences some of the highest levels of internal and intra-regional migration driven by a mix of economic, political, and environmental pressures. This paper focuses on intra-regional migration, meaning movement within the sub-Saharan African region rather than migration to Europe or other regions. It examines how climate stress, from rising temperatures to rainfall anomalies, acts as either a push factor, which is a force that is driving people away from their home country, or a pull factor, which is shaping where they relocate. The study challenges the common assumption that climate migrants from sub-Saharan African countries move particularly towards the OECD countries, addressing several gaps in the literature on migration and climate change in sub-Saharan Africa. So, how did we study it? This paper uses a gravity model of migration grounded in random utility maximization theory to understand how people choose where to migrate. To analyze the patterns, the author uses bilateral migrant stock data for 48 sub-Saharan African countries from 1990 to 2020 for every 5 years. Climate variables including temperature change, rainfall anomaly index, standardized precipitation evapotranspiration index for drought, and extreme weather data from MDAT. Extensive economic, social, and political controls such as GDP per capita, unemployment, agricultural productivity, political stability, education, life expectancy, distance, contiguity, language, and colonial history. The key estimation tool is Poisson pseudo-maximum likelihood, which is better suited for migration data that includes many zero observations and heteroscedasticity. This method makes the findings more reliable and robust. What we found and why it matters. The study finds that climate variables affect migration, but not always in predictable ways. Push factors for the origin countries. Temperature change and drought generally do not significantly push people to migrate. Rainfall anomalies sometimes act as a push factor, but only under specific economic and political conditions. Political violence and conflict deaths reduce migration, likely because borders close and mobility becomes dangerous. Greater distance strongly reduces the likelihood of migration. Then, when it comes to the pull factors for destination countries, climate factors are less influential as pull factors. In some models, higher rainfall anomalies make a destination less attractive. Economic strength, especially higher GDP per capita and strong agricultural productivity, is a powerful pull factor. Countries with high greenhouse gas emissions signaling industrialization tend to attract fewer migrants. Heterogeneous effects. Climate stress affects men and women differently, though patterns vary. Rich versus poor, coastal versus inland, and high versus low urbanization regions experience these climate migration dynamics differently. Overall, the study shows that climate stress interacts with economic, social, and political realities, creating complex migration outcomes rather than simple cause and effect patterns. Why it matters. Climate change is no longer a future threat. It is already transforming livelihoods, agriculture, and mobility in Sub-Saharan Africa. Understanding these dynamics is crucial because the region is warming faster than the global average. Weather-related disasters affect over 110 million Africans annually. Climate-driven migration could reach 85 million people by 2050. This paper highlights that climate migration is not just an environmental issue. It involves gender, economics, conflict, governance, and development planning. The way forward. The study calls for more comprehensive migration data, especially for intra-African mobility. Research that includes gender-specific migration responses. Better integration of environmental indicators with social and economic factors. Policies that protect vulnerable populations from climate-related displacement. Climate-resilient development strategies, especially in agriculture-dependent countries. Future work can further explore how climate stress interacts with urbanization, conflict, and economic inequality, and how countries can strengthen climate adaptation to reduce forced displacement. Thanks for watching. To read the full working paper, check out the link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to Monk Prayogshala for more research explained in just a few minutes.